7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Online classes for dancing. There are so many options for you right now. Teachers are posting lots of videos online, and I know that quite a few dancers out there are feeling a little bit guilty because they're unable to knuckle down and actually get down to working on the online classes. So I have a tip for you that I think is going to help you out. It certainly works for me. You don't need to participate in the class immediately while it's online. Okay, you can watch it, just put it on and do whatever you need to do. The most important thing is that you actually are engaging with the information from the teacher. So listen to the class every now and then, have a look and see what they're doing and see how it applies to an element of something that you're trying to work on yourself. And then at a later date, you can watch the video again and participate. I would suggest that you just put the video on and just watch it. Sit down on your couch and enjoy the show. Listen to the instructions from the instructor and pick out the things that you think that you want to work on. And then that'll also help you to streamline your learning process and your practice process. It's a perfect time right now for you to go through all of your old videos from your classes that you've taken. I'm sure you've got lots and lots that you've archived, or maybe you've just dumped them somewhere in a folder. Now is the perfect time to go through all those videos again and have a look and see all those amazing things that you've learned through time. Very often I found that when we learn new information, we're so busy processing small pieces of the information that the entire class or the entire piece of information kind of goes over their head, and we just nitpick those little things that really inspire us and make sense at that given time. Why don't you go through your videos right now and have a look and see some of the stuff that you learned. You might just pick up something that you're like, oh my goodness, that makes sense to me. That is something that I'm totally going to employ in my dancing. Let me get up right now, get my shoes on and practice that one element right now. Diversify your learning. What an awesome opportunity it is right now to learn so many amazing things. You're probably stuck indoors, really bored, and you're looking for things to do. Don't just keep your learning down to one track. Diversify the physical things that you're learning. So you're dancing, of course. What about yoga? What about calisthenics? Developing these other techniques is going to help the body to get smarter, to pick up new information even better. Okay, so think about that. What about learning a language? If you love salsa and bachata, why not pick up Spanish lessons? If you love kizomba, why not learn Portuguese and French? By understanding the languages, you're going to be able to understand the music better, and that's going to give you way more versatility in your dancing because you're going to be more creative, because you'll be able to use the lyrics to actually give you inspiration for your movements and for your styling, your decorations and all those types of things. Okay, so learn a language. What about learning better dietary habits? Think about the food that you're eating, think about the things that you're putting into your body, because as you're doing that, as you getting better sustenance in your diet, you're going to be able to strengthen and boost your immune system. So when you do get back to dancing and you do get back to public, your body's going to be strong. You're going to be capable of taking on like the world. Record yourself. That's right. Scary. Record yourself. Oh my goodness. Every time I suggest this to my students, you just see them kind of backpedaling like this. What are you talking about? Recording myself and actually see what I look like when I'm dancing. Listen, this is a very scary thing. I know that, and it's one of the things that we use, especially with my dancers, my team, my teachers, is I always encourage us to take recordings and to look at the recordings, because the camera doesn't lie. You know, when we look at ourselves in the mirror, there's still a perspective that comes from our own expectation of what we expect to see in the reflection, and so that can be an unrealistic marker for what's actually really going on. So my suggestion to you is to make a recording and then really watch with an objective eye and really see what's going on in your dancing. Study the history. You know, it's all really well and good to get into something, some new kind of hobby, and just enjoy, you know, your experience of it at that moment. But what's really awesome is when you go back in time and you see other people who actually developed this thing that you enjoy today, and you try to figure out from their mindset, what were they thinking when they created this, or what were they going through that actually inspired them to create such an awesome, such a fun activity that you can enjoy today. You might find something really amazing, even liberating in that process of understanding the whole idea from the perspective of the people who developed it. Now, in the case of dancing, you know, there's history of decades, sometimes even centuries behind the whole experience of dancing, especially social dancing. So I challenge you to go back, check out the history, figure out why you love doing what you're doing. I promise you, you'll get so much more out of the experience because you'll experience it also from the perspective of those that came before you. You know what? You're experiencing it right now. A lot of these things are going to be long after you're gone. Immerse yourself into it, enjoy it, learn the history. Drop the gradient. Drop the gradient. Sometimes we want to get to the end so badly that we try to bypass very, very important things along that journey. And then anything that you leave uncontrolled will control you, okay? So one of the best control mechanisms is the gradient, okay? Understand the gradient. Where you are at your beginning is at that lowest point, okay? And then off you go, up and up and up and up and up. The challenge gets exponentially more difficult, and so you start to learn and start to grow. Now, if the gradient is too steep, you find that sometimes you cannot bypass a certain point, and it becomes really, really difficult and frustrating, and many people actually fall off at this point because they think, oh, this isn't for me, dancing is not for me, no, surfing is not for me. The thing is that you maybe were trying too much, too fast, too soon, and there wasn't a gradient scale that you could handle. Understand the mechanics. You know, in the martial art, which is like akin, it's like brother and sister to dancing, because martial artists are really just dancing with the opponents, but the opponents are working against them. While when we're dancing, we're working with our opponent, our opposite. Okay, opponent is also another way of saying your opposite. And of course, dancing is a complement of opposites, right? Especially partner dancing and social dancing. Understand the mechanics. You know, when you understand how the body works, I'll take it back to the analogy of martial arts. What we do in the martial arts is we try to find the break points and manipulate the joints in a way that will inflict pain and take control of the opponent in order to get ourselves out of a bad situation. In dancing, we have to understand exactly the same mechanics of those points of the body, the joints, the way the muscles move and work, and where the tension points or whatever, because by understanding that, we can make a dance for our partners that's going to be light, it's going to be fun, it's going to be amazing, and it's not going to be painful, it's not going to be dangerous, because we understand the mechanics behind the movement. And again, it comes down to understanding yourself and then understanding your partner. You know, in martial arts, we learn to harm and to heal at the same time. It's super, super important, because, you know, sometimes you get injured and you need to know the best course of action to be able to recover from that injury and to be able to get back into the dojo again, get back into the center and continue with your training. Dancing is exactly the same. We get injured in dancing all the time, and one of the biggest reasons why is because we don't understand the mechanics of our own body. So we put ourselves into danger, and then also by not understanding the mechanics, when we start dancing with a partner, we put our partners in danger also. And so go ahead, study some body mechanics, study biology, study how to manipulate the joints and to get the best expression. And you can do this by yourself through yoga and all kinds of practices, because when you understand the mechanics, life is just better. Complete cycles of action. Complete cycles of action. What is this? Think about each cycle of action. So for instance, in a count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, completing each step, completing each movement before even considering completing the count. You know, whenever we experience issues, okay, from the perspective of the lead, when he loses timing, what I find very often that happens is the lead gets so consumed by trying to get his lead across and to get the move to work that he forgets to move his feet. So there's an incomplete cycle of action there, which is stepping out the timing. You'll find that if you can constantly step out your timing consistently and repetitively and with real conviction, you will maintain your timing. It's not an issue, because remember, the arms and legs work together as a team, right? For the ladies, when you're coming out of a turn off balance, there was an incomplete cycle of action there. You didn't ground yourself enough, you didn't count your timing correctly, you didn't roll through the step correctly. There's always something. Just remember, anything that you leave uncontrolled controls you. So you've got to make sure that you complete all the cycles of action. This is the time that you can do that. Work on your timing, your steps, all of your footwork. Then take it up, higher up into the body. Complete the motion sitting into your hips. Complete the motion through the rib cage, into the shoulders, into the arms. Okay? By completing all of those those levels and all those cycles of action, you're going to have better control of yourself, and therefore a better control of the situation when you have a partner in front of you and you're dancing. So go ahead, complete your cycles of action. Go through the motion. What I mean by go through the motion, you know, I come from a background of martial arts, tinkering in many different styles, and something that all martial arts have got in common is shadow boxing. In the case of karate, you've got kata. In the case of kung fu, you've got your quen, right? And what happens is you go through this process of imagining yourself in a situation where you need to start to apply your art, right? And of course, in the martial art, it's life or death very often. But what happens is, in the process of going through the motions, you prepare yourself mentally and spiritually to some extent to be able to handle yourself better in a situation. We as dancers can do exactly the same thing. We call it shadow dancing, or we call it Bluetooth dancing. There's a whole bunch of different names for it. But basically what it is that you're going through the motion, have the imagination of having your partner at your fingertips and what you would do with your partner with this move, and how you would connect to this hand, and what would happen if I drop the hand on my shoulder there, what would happen there. For the follows, what happens if he flicks my hand, what can I do as a decoration before I give him the hand back, okay? Go through the motions, and the more you do it, especially without a partner, you'll go into this almost autopilot mode where you will be connecting to a deeper sense of your understanding, a deeper sense of your ability, and without that extra threat of having somebody in front of you and disappointing somebody or potentially hurting somebody, you'll bypass that whole process and you'll learn so much better. And so that when you do have a person in front of you, your confidence will be through the roof because you've applied that information in a way that you could handle, and then you go into autopilot. And when you reach that moment, all of the stuff that you applied to time and effort by yourself starts to come out, and you'll be fascinated when it happens. I know when it happens to me on the dance floor, when I'm dancing with the right partner, the right song, the right dance floor, whatever, that moment is like nirvana. It's absolutely amazing, but it does really take that application of going through the motions. So go through the motions. Dance with energy, dance with physicality. You know, dance is expression of the body. So the more we move, the more energy we put in, means that we're going to really get fitter and get stronger and able to take a lot more in and practice for longer and just look a lot better. This is something specifically for dancers of afro-latin styles, social dancers, is because we learn in this very step-based way. You know, we kind of put so much precedent on the steps and getting the steps correctly that we forget that it's actually supposed to be dancing. You know, one of my favorite teachers always used to say that there's a big difference between doing salsa, bachata, kizomba, or dancing salsa, bachata, kizomba, because doing comes from the mind and dancing comes from everywhere. It's mind, body, spirit, and everything together. So you need to move. You need to move, baby. The other side of it is that a lot of people who are interested to learn how to dance often get into it because they want to get into shape, they want to get fit and get stronger. And so they ask me, can I get thinner? Can I lose weight dancing? And of course you can, but it takes physicality, it takes a lot of exertion of energy. And the thing is that the more you dance, the easier it becomes. So we need to up the game and up the ante by putting more energy in and dancing with more physicality. So do it, go on, pump, pump, pump. Don't compare yourself to other dancers. Everyone's on their own journey. Some people have to work a little bit harder than others. You know what? Just celebrate them. Validate them if you can. And then you know what? Get in front of the mirror, do your work, and validate the small improvements in yourself. Be the best dancer that you can be. One final tip for you. And this one's a big one. Just have fun. Alright, why is having fun important? Because of one simple thing. Happiness is a prerequisite to success. If you're having fun, if you're happy, you're going to be successful. If it's not fun, if it's work, you're not going to want to do it. Okay? So just have fun with it. The success will come. And even if it takes a while, even if it takes longer than you expected, at least you're having fun. That's the most important thing. So that's the end of this series. If you enjoyed the information, go check out my social medias. and I'll be giving you a lot more value as time goes on. This is really important for me to make sure that you're getting value and that you're having fun. Okay, so with that being said, thank you so much, and we'll catch you in the next one.